Now I believe you can hear me loud and clear. Loud and clear. Thank you very much. So, thank you very much for. Let me recap again. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. For those of you who have not subscribed to this channel, I will say thank you for always coming back to this channel. And thank you for subscribing to this channel. And for the good news that we share here, please endeavor to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share the video, like the video, give the like button, click on the like button in order to like the video. So what the issue here is, today we will be looking at multiple issues. I want to start by looking at the independence celebration that has happened in Nigeria in the last couple of days, or rather, as some people will say, yesterday. So that Independence Day, and I don't know what you think, but I think it calls for really, really sober reflection. When I say sober reflection, by every sense of the word. Some people have made, like this one here, where you have a ship that is wrecking. That's what some people believe that the nation is all about. That the happy 60th Independence Day, wait, make I evacuate first before it finally sinks. So some people believe that the ship of the nation is sinking, as you can see here. Okay, some people believe that the ship of the nation is sinking. Some others, also believe that that is not the case, that the ship of the nation is not sinking. Now, we also have an individual that, celebrated his own Independence Day in a grand style. The way look at him here. He celebrated his own in a very, in a grand style. You see, he celebrated it how do I call it? He went out and he was celebrating, and that was a protest of some sort. 60 years after independence, look at where, and I believe, I don't have anything against Imo people, but I believe this is Imo State. Wanting to visit Imo, you first of all ring somebody saying, please, I hope the road is good. I hope you also didn't. So, if you understand, you know what that means. So this is a fellow citizen who is celebrating a 60 years of independence. And, it is a travesty to think and for 1 second imagine that after 60 years of existing as a nation, that the country would still, somewhere in the country, would still be in this way. But sadly, you are all looking at it. That is what it is, the way it is today, that these things are happening. And you can look at it, obviously, it doesn't look nice. And you know it that this is everywhere you look. However, we here at Njenje Media agreed with this picture because that's what it is. You can see the picture here. So that is a picture of Nigeria at 60. Nigeria at 60, with a truckload of tires. Yet it has flat tires. It means what they say in Igbo, "Ononamili mokomili akoya." He who lives by the riverside, yet he has no water to even drink, talk less of the one to brush the mouth with. So that is what I'm trying to do here, is to show us many angles, many perceptions, many perspectives of how people perceive the so-called independence celebration. And many believe there is actually nothing to celebrate, like the young man here. He obviously, in protest, believes that there is nothing to celebrate. Obviously, you cannot begrudge him. That's what it is. That's what he believes in, that there is absolutely nothing to celebrate. Um, and when you look at it, you can agree somewhat by the level of various agitation groups that come up now. It's like yesterday, what happened yesterday was very historic. Some of you who knew, and you can see that Nigerians are beginning somewhat to wake up. We have now. What I'm going to do is to tell us what is happening, because this is not a a a one cap fit it all. There were various things that happened in various places. Let's start from Nigeria. We have this
Not
happening
be a
in
nation of
Nigeria
crying
yesterday.
people. We call
So,
ourselves the most populous country in Nigeria. Absolutely. Really? But when it comes to protest,
Yes.
because we have powers as citizens.
Yes.
People who are afraid to die. Are we living in Nigeria?
No.
Is this life?
No.
It's not life. I spent 7 months in the UK. I just came back 2 weeks ago. I just finished my 14 days quarantine. You know what? I wasn't treated as a slave in another man's land. So who would dare to treat me as a slave in my own country? Because we call our those
yeah,
who
I shall speak on.
Every day you get a phone call from someone in the middle of the night telling you that they need money for healthcare, they need money for school fees, they need money for this and that.
Yes.
Nigerians make demands on fellow citizens, but they dare not make demands on the government.
Exactly.
That are failing them, that
Yes.
are looting them, that are packing their things away. It is
Yes.
high time we begin to do tough love.
Yes. Yes.
Enough of the nonsense.
Yes.
When some people will stay at home, they expect us to put our lives on the line for them.
No,
and then
yes.
they will call and tell us to bring money. People have been making excuses. All you yesterday, what was on social media? Oh, Shawara is the one doing it, they will not call. Henry Sheed is the one doing it, they will not call. Oh, Adenji is the one doing it, they will not call. Oh, Ario is the one doing it, they will not call. You know what? Excuses are like shoes, and you always find the one that fits.
Yes.
It is time for us to stand as a nation.
Yes.
I'm tired of being afraid in my country.
Yes.
I'm tired of hiding in my house. I'm tired of paying unnecessary school fees. I'm tired of paying bills. Come to the tidy care that they pay. What would you buy? A bag of rice? And that's it. And then we'll have a president.
Bag of rice is
who has
58,000.
to do nothing. And yet he sent in security agents to come and intimidate us. You all should be ashamed of yourself.
Yes.
You all should be ashamed of yourself.
That is the
You
truth.
all should look at yourself and let the tears pour down. Because
Yes.
you are killing this nation.
Yes.
No matter how much do they pay you? How much is your school salary? How much do you pay for your children?
They live in dirty
The child of the president and the child of the policeman should have equal rights in this country.
Yes.
Absolutely. Have access to good quality education.
Absolutely.
Yes.
How much is the school fees in regions where most of them have your children? You see us on the streets. You think we are hungry. That's why.
We're not
We are
hungry.
not hungry.
We aren't.
We are not.
It is Buhari and his
Why?
people that are hungry. The people who are stealing our
How
money.
much is it your
They
school
are the
fees?
hungry people.
How much is your salary? How much do you pay for your children's school fees? Do your children get the same access to good quality education like your children?
No.
That's why we are here. So the next time they send you to protesters,
Think
and tell you
about
to put
it.
a
And you
bullet
come
through
out with
our
guns.
head, think about it.
Yes.
And the thing is that
Whoa. You see, people, that's what we're talking about. You can see how eloquent she put her points, across. Now, these are policemen, people's parents. These are men that have children. These are men that have families. And when they tell them, go and disperse the protesters, and they will come. They will come to do what? They will come to disperse protesters. What has been their crime? The crime of the protesters are basically demanding to be treated right and fair, demanding to be treated equal, demanding that the things you enjoy as those in power, please can we have a sip of it? And that is the crime. And it beats me somewhat because when you look at the barracks where these security forces live or security agents live, you basically pity them because you know that they suffer from the most you know, the most form of poverty, that is, which is the poverty of the mind. Their brain is so warped because actually they can say no. These are our siblings, these are our mothers, our sisters, our sons, and our daughters. We would not. But no, cowards they are. They would go ahead and fire tear gas just to disperse for those basically demanding that they be treated right. Now, this is not only in Nigeria. Bear in mind, I said I'm going to x-ray what has happened in the last couple of days globally. While this is happening in Nigeria, why that is happening in Nigeria? In London yesterday, in Trafalgar Square, this also happened. In Trafalgar Square, in the United Kingdom. So the Trafalgar Square, what you can see here, I'll give I personally recorded this. So what you can see here is on one side you have the Take It Back movement, led by Omoyele Sowore, the editor and the CEO of Sahara Reporters. On the left, you have the combination of the Biafran and the Oduduwas. There is one thing in common. They are all protesting, just like those we saw in Abuja in the previous clip, because something is not working, something is broken. Now, there are others who have reached out to me. There are Nigerians who believe, no, nothing is broken, so don't bother yourself. We'll see. I would tell us that something is broken, and I'll prove it, because even the president himself agreed that something is broken. Therefore, what is holding the dog from dying? That's the question we will ask. Then let's go ahead.
A story about the place that we call Nigeria. That's right. As we're standing here, there are two, maybe three groups of people with grievances.
Speak the truth.
These grievances are not made up. That's why you see so many people here. We may have different solutions, but our grievances are real. And even though we are protesting a man called Buhari, who has been president for the last 5 years, our problems did not start there.
That's right.
That's right.
Speak the truth.
Problems are very, very old as Nigeria.
That's right.
Yes.
Nothing but the truth.
A number of people came into Africa to draw lines for us, to define to us how to share our resources. Let us loot our resources and to loot our humans. Comrades, I'm here to tell you right now, those lines are imaginary. They don't exist. Our Biafra, Oduduwa, our brothers and sisters, all of you, we have to drop that illusion that these lines are real. They're not. We are brothers.
So basically, what the guy is talking about is reason why he is protest. So I've gone to the Oduduwa section here. So people, and you can see that is on the other side of the world, which is the United Kingdom, right? So you've seen that all over the place, there is this, believe that something is not right. Hence the protest. Even at that, you still have in the faraway Australia, this was also happening.
Oduduwa Republic we stand. Oduduwa Republic we stand.
You see, this is Sydney, Australia.
Oduduwa Republic we stand. Oduduwa Republic we stand.
Okay, so Sydney, Australia. How many we've taken three continents? What is it that is pushing all these people to say these things, to demand these things? What is pushing them? It's very simple. Because
come on board. Boko Haram should lay their arms unconditionally.
So,
and be accepted in the community. Opportunities are out there for them. They can be rehabilitated. An ex-Boko Haram stands having laid his arms and comes back, turns his way away from his negativity. He stands to be a president of this country. He stands to aspire to any position in this country. Why is he wasting his time when he cannot even deliver? We will do that. But we have appealed to them, including their detractors, their collaborators, to see reason to, as fast as possible, quickly drop their arms so that we can once again reoccupy our peaceful position in Nigeria.
So you see, some people argue that comments like this reinforces the reason why people actually protest. That comments like that, where you look at where people are being told this is basically the way it is, that a certain people can protest, and when they protest, it becomes treasonable, but others can actually go on and have weapons and have other things that they can, deal with, basically the things that they can do bad with, and nothing could happen. And you can see that clearly here, where you've been told that if Boko Haram lay down their ammunition and their arms, that they stand a chance of becoming the president of this nation. Now, on that note also, you can also see part of logic, because the other part that I played was in Abuja. So let me also bring this part that happened in
the pains Nigerians are passing through, poverty at higher rate, insecurity at higher rate, trouble everywhere, leadership from top to the bottom. Our members are neglected. People are dying. Go to hospital now. People are dying on a daily basis. They don't have money to pay their medical bills. People are being molested everywhere, insecurity all over. If you go to Maiduguri, if you go to Yobe, if you go to Katsina, come to Taraba, everywhere people are killing. The aim and objective of the Nigerian government and the military is to defend lives and property. We are not defended, we are not protected. I want you to know that we are not happy with the rate of escalation of things in the market. Fuel scarcity, light bill, water bill, people are dying on daily basis, and the government is not talking about it. We feel it is painful that we should the government to reverse every bill again, electricity bill, water bill, poverty alleviation, empower youth all over this country. You to take over the leadership. We are not considered. They say children are leaders of tomorrow. Where are we? There is 60 years. Where are we?
Okay.
Thank you.
This is the country. This is the country that has emerged global capital of poverty.
Today we are doing independence and protesting.
There is nothing like freedom. We are in a cocoon. People are being killed on a daily basis. Genocide is in the increase. The military are not doing anything about it.
As you can see, they don't want us, they don't want anybody to hear that. As you can see, all right, the authority are against us. That means they are using authority to threaten us. We don't have right anymore. As you can see, our gang leader, our group leader has been taken away. We have been forced to stop this protest. Okay? They are here for our own interest, but at the same time, they are against what we are doing. As you can see, they are using authority to stop us from expressing our grievances. Yes, sir.
The people of Ada, these are very negligent individuals who wanted to take advantage of a religious celebration to cause disturbance. And immediately we got in there, he ran away.
let me pause here. I hate to do analysis of the police. Start with, his lips looks like somebody that takes banya. Secondly, very incoherent. Okay, I don't know who you are. Thirdly, now you all saw what happened in this video. You can see the video. You can see the twist he's bringing to this video. And you'll be thinking, if you didn't see this video and you watch him talk, you'll be thinking maybe he's talking about something serious. But this is, oh, Jesus Christ.
My message is for the good people of Adamawa to be law-abiding as they have been. Only yesterday we had a security summit at the officers' mess where we still appeal to them that we should sustain the peace in Adamawa State. But you know, one or two disgruntled people might make an attempt to test our might. We wanted to test it, and we showed it to him that he cannot mess up with Adamawa State.
Thank you.
The happy mood. Nigeria is 60 today. It is the wish of everybody to be in an independent country, and it's a good thing to celebrate it.
Now let me tell us something. You see, remember the conversation I had with Chetanwanze on this channel? If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's very instructive. We x-rayed the, in our conversation that centered on the Igbo East and the Igbo West. That's what they call the Anioma. We came to a point and x-rayed where we got to this. And this, what you're looking at on the screen, is part of the reason. Now, Olubenga Adeyanju is 99% from the southwest. Look at where he's heading, Adamawa. You see the manner he talked about the people protesting for a better life, as if they were criminals. That can only emanate from a man who is so detached from a people. This is a system failure. I said it several times and I will repeat it this night. A Yoruba person has nothing to look for in Adamawa to head the place. A man from Sokoto has nothing to look for in Ebonyi to head the place. Neither is a man from Ibadan has anything to look for to head to Sokoto to head their place. Because you do not consider these people. There is, whether you like it or not, in the way the psyche of the Nigerian people have been configured from the time immemorial makes it that people do not, as long as you don't live and this, as long as you consider these people not your people, you tend to treat them different. Now tell me, for argument's sake, let's say that Adeyanju is from Ekiti State, for argument's sake, and his mother is from Ekiti. His grandfather is from Ekiti. His great-grandfather is from Ekiti. And the wife may be from Oyo. In the environs of Ekiti, this man that spoke must have people connected to him by blood that he probably knows or the ones he doesn't. Do you think that if this man was the commissioner of police in his own state, he will act and speak in this manner? He's only speaking in this manner because the people he's addressing, he doesn't consider them to be his own people. And that is a structure the British left in 1929 or created in 1929. And that structure has continued. That structure that they started had continued. And you can see the result of that same structure. That is what you're looking at, because that's the only thing that drives this man to speak in this manner. You just watch the video and he's just calling them miscreants, saying that they've dealt with them. Can he say the same? If that was to be his brother's son, if that was to be his son, would he do the same? When people talk about restructuring to the point where you can create state police, for Christ's sake, Anambra, deal with your police. Have a police service commission to oversee all the police. Taraba State, do your own police. Nasarawa, do your own police and provide security for yourself. But here you had state governors who are considered Catholic bishops without cathedrals, because they are basically mere appendages, that they are the chief security officer of the state, but whereas they absolutely have no powers. And this is very upsetting.
Reasonably and wisely. So if you want to celebrate Independence Day, you celebrate in your house, go to a hotel, you are the one that enjoys good things of life, go to a hotel quietly and celebrate without intimidating others. That is why we are here.
So, I haven't seen an absurdity of a nation where basic protest now turns to something that is abysmal, something that, I mean, somebody is just protesting, and all you can do, all your brain can phantom, all you can think of, that individual wants to foment trouble. How is the individual fomenting trouble? You are the ones fomenting trouble. Now, before I move away from these independent celebration, which many have tagged independent celebration of failure, let me finally play what the Oduduwa group said that is part of the reason why they basically what they did yesterday. So let's
for an exit from Nigeria and the basis for agitation, we wish to formally present to you our overarching quest for an exit from Nigeria and the basis for agitation for Oduduwa nation. As you are aware, President Goodluck Jonathan, on the 17th of March 2014 in Abuja, Nigeria, inaugurated the national conference with the hope of bringing solution to some of the problems that emerged as a result of 1914 amalgamation. However, because of the neglect and inaction regarding the submission of the national conference, the problem of national security, human rights, administrative equity, justice remain unresolved and continue to persist in violation of international law instruments. Based on the above, Yoruba One Voice, a coalition of Yoruba organizations in all 7 continents of the world, comprising of Yoruba from all walks of life, demand an exit from Nigeria for the following reason. Amalgamation Treaty. Moving forward from Amalgamation Treaty, which was hastily put together to serve the need of colonialists as opposed to the need and aspiration of the local people of Western Africa, which formally became recognized as Nigeria and onto the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, a byproduct of the said treaty. The abuse of power, imbalance in employment, political inequality, disregard for social institutions and structures, desecration of the civil service, and much more has continued unabated. The burden imposed by the unjustified and ignoble quota system policy, which has become the hallmark of abuse and domination, runs contrary to the spirit of equality and justice and inhibit individual from attaining his God-given talent and potential. The guiding principle and philosophy of Yoruba nation is founded upon the tenets of learning and intellectual development, which continually suffer constraint because of the said quota system. Economic growth is stunted in Yoruba land because of the policies that are incongruent and does not take account of the unique capabilities of Yoruba competency as was manifested in the economic and social management of the old Western regional government. The economic power and control over indigenous resources have been centralized, have in effect destroyed good sources of revenue for trade and tourism, which has continued to cause high unemployment rate and redundancies in Yoruba state.
So basically what he's saying is what this guy has done here is to lay out why they are agitating for a new nation. And I must at this junction say that I have had the privilege to speak to so many people, both those who are for and who are against, and those who are in the middle. Now, for no reason would I think that anyone, for whatever position you have taken, that you are wrong. It's one of those things that one will say time will tell. One can also say, without mincing words, that the majority of the people who are now saying break the nation, break up the nation, is as a result of the failure of government to either listen to their cry and their pleas, because there is no way someone who probably is a farmer and is not able to go to farm because some people who are wielding ammunitions are occupying his or her farmlands, and certain things are no longer able. People are no longer to do certain things because of insecurity. Now, there is another school of thought that say, does it mean when insecurity of that nature occur that you must destroy? However, there is another school of thought that say the reason why the fault line is appearing and is cracking deeper is as a result of fundamental errors that could be irreparable, that therefore they think that the solution will be to basically divide the whole nation. Another question then arises: how do you divide it? Now, those within the majority groups of the Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba would say divide it into four. You see, some say divide it into the Old Eastern, or rather the 1963 partitioning, which is where you had the Old Eastern region, which eventually became the Biafran state. Then you should have it as what they call the Yoruba nation, and you have the Midwest, the North Central, then the Northeast, and the Northwest jammed together. That's four. But the moment you do that, you now have the angers of the minorities to contend with. I was honestly recently being lectured by a very senior friend of mine who is from the who considers himself minority from the Middle Belt, and he said to me, "Maz, you see, when people talk about this, I get angry." I said, "Okay, tell me, sir, why do you get angry?" He said, "Well, the individual in question is from the Middle Belt." He says, "Do you know that within the Middle Belt, some of us think we are more to the north. Some are beginning to think we are more to the south." Now, you have another one who is from the Midwest. The moment you talk about splitting it into four, he says to you, hold on, that the Midwest region, it's a nation of its own. Do not forget that. You see where cracks comes in. Question is, all this thing is happening here and there because we are not talking to ourselves. If we are talking to ourselves, there are obviously, which I think as time goes on might be the best solution to this. But again, because no one is willing to talk, which is a confederacy. A confederacy is where let the status quo remain as the today's boundary, but you have a confederation, the same way you have in the United Kingdom, because many people don't want to say that. But United Nations, no matter how you look at it, even with an unwritten constitution, remains a confederation. Because you see Wales remaining semi-independent nation. Yes, they use pounds, but they can make their own laws. You see them making laws on COVID. The laws that applies in England does not apply in Wales. The same thing applies to Scotland. Things are done differently in Scotland, and Northern Ireland is the same thing. So at the end of the day, I think the nation must begin to speak to people must begin to speak to one another. Now, in one of the president's speech, and an excerpt that I took from Channels TV, he clearly made some salient point, but obviously, I wouldn't say he's been, but sadly, it might stop at, that point, at those comments that he made that, many believe that he couldn't go beyond such comments. Let's listen to what he said.
From high loss of moral rectitude, which is driven by unbridled craving for political control. An underlying cause of more.
Hold on, before I allow him go on. Pay attention. This is the same NTA that we have borrowed $500 million, $500 million to bring them apart to CNN. This is the same NTA. Whenever the president pauses from speaking, you hear this glitch that hurts the ear. I don't know how many of you will be watching my channel if, in my only two-way, I cannot even, my camera is even better than NTA camera. Honestly, I'm not boasting, but look at it. The difference is clear.
Of the problems we have faced as a nation is our consistent harping on artificially contrived fault lines that we have harbored and allowed unnecessarily to fester.
Now, the president here is talking about artificial fault lines. Artificial fault lines that we have allowed to fester. Pause for a moment. Artificial fault lines. Yet in 2015, this same president was asked a question about the Niger Delta oil cleanup, the Ogoni cleanup, the Niger Delta, where you have a region that lays the golden egg. This same president that talks about artificial fault lines was asked this question. What did he say? He said that you can never expect, because the guy that asked him that question was talking about inclusiveness. How do you include these regions? Yes, everyone knows that they didn't give you their votes. After all, one of their sons are in the race, and he is just someone who is returning. Obviously, it's commonsensical to know and to think that these people, their son, they're going to give him his vote, their vote. Now, this same president that talks about artificial fault line, the reason why I posted the video to explain this was the one that made the comment of 5% and 97%, which is mathematically wrong, because 5 plus 97 is 102, is never 100. One, it is mathematically wrong. Second, it doesn't make any iota of sense. The moment you win the presidency, your job is to unify the nation. You're no longer campaigning. What you did by such is part of what you're saying. I had expected you to actually say, well, like the mistakes I've made, I am now taking correction, because this is a time to use first person singular. You personalize it, blame yourself, take responsibilities. Because you are, Mr. President, one of those that have basically drawn a very deep line in the fault lines that you talk about. I'll let you continue, sir.
In addition, institutions such as civil service, police, the judiciary, the military all suffered from a general decline.
Oh, I listened to this. I want to laugh. Now you are wondering why there is this decline, where we had the SSS employ 538 people, and they, from one state, from one region, employed 82% of the entire population. And you want it to stay the same? You have your service chiefs, with the exception of this chief of naval staff, come from certain section of the country, and you are still here talking. No wonder General Olusegun Obasanjo always referred to it as sanctimonious, bogus integrity. Because, Mr. President, what you are presenting as if, oh, you are innocent, but you are one of those that have actually driven and deepened the wounds and deepened the fault lines. Somebody must say it, for Christ's sake. Somebody must say it. This is without any prejudice. You haven't done well with the way you have handled it with it. You've been basically reinforcing failure. You've been reinforcing failure because you have a service chief, or rather you have service chiefs, in my estimation, that's my personal opinion. They have failed, and not that they have only failed, they have failed abysmally. But you reinforce them by even those that have gone beyond their retirement age, those that have ought to have gone out in the service, you kept them. What will be the sense why you brought in Ali, a retired army colonel, to head the Nigerian customs, where, you know, there are people who have risen from the ranks? What is it that you are trying to achieve, Mr. President? And you are carefully doing all these things, and at the same time you're asking questions. Why do we have these fault lines? Mr. President, know it that the fault lines is being driven by you.
We need to begin a sincere process of national healing, and this anniversary presents a genuine opportunity to.
We need to begin to sincerely begin to look into a process of national healing. We had a war that lasted for 3 years, and 5 million of my people lost their lives. We had restructuring, reconstruction, and reintegration, the 3 R's. Mr. President, if you are not aware, let me tell you that this year made it 50 years of that war. Yet we are not yet to, we haven't reconciled. Neither have we reconstructed. Now you're talking about this. The reconciliation that you seek for lies in your hands. Mr. President, if you're not aware, I tell you once more, that your party, the APC, has a manifesto that clearly spelled out how you are going to restructure this nation. That's why those that voted for you voted you in. You discarded it. Even when you came back from the hospitals in London, you've broken a lot of your promises. You came back from hospital in London and you started questioning those that actually call for restructuring. The fault line is being driven by you, Mr. President. You cannot, make a noise outside and run inside and say, what is that is making that noise, whereas the noise is being caused by you, Mr. President. Ikechukwu Okeke, thank you very much. He says that your camera is far better than it. Wallahi, I tell you, my camera is far much better than NTA camera. But let me continue. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Please like the video. I have over 150 people watching. Well, not up to the numbers we normally have, but over 150 people and only 6 likes. Please like the video. Let's continue with the analysis. Hold on, let me come. Yeah.
They always are. The stereotype of thinking of our...
No, come again.
In the lie, they always are. The stereotype of thinking of ourselves as coming from one part of the country before seeing ourselves as Nigerians is a key starting point to project us.
You see what the president is saying? That we should stop seeing ourselves as coming from a particular part of the country before we see ourselves as Nigerians. Mr. President, again, sorry, this broadcasting is not about you, but I'm only just trying to do an analysis of your own speech. Please, Mr. President, if you're not aware, look at your actions. Your actions says that, like the speech made by Bishop Kuka, Bishop Hassan Kuka. Yesterday, Kuka called you a nepotistic president, not me. Please don't send the DSS after me. It's Kuka. I'm only citing Kuka, not me, not Mazes, okay? Before the DSS will be on my door. Kuka cited nepotistic actions, and some of it I've already said. Now you are here saying that Nigerians should see themselves as this. Why didn't you see yourself as that when you were running for president, and comments about how Boko Haram were being treated because they are from your part of the country? Why is it that you are the one that is driving this division? Why didn't you see the people from the eastern part of Nigeria that were carrying flags saying give them a referendum to cast their vote and decide if they still want to be part of this nation or not? Why didn't you see them as part of, why didn't you have that feeling you had for Boko Haram when the Goodluck Jonathan government was dealing with them? Why didn't you? Why did you not classify the Fulani headsmen who are your own people the same way you have classified those you classified as terrorists? Why? You cannot be saying A and you're acting B, Mr. President. That is wrong. And that is all I'm saying. That is wrong. You have to be fair in all you do. Mr. President, sorry. Again, I do not agree with you here.
Our deserved nation's evolution and integration. To start this healing process, we are already blessed with the most important asset any nation requires for such, our people. And this has manifested globally in the exploits of Nigerians in many fields. It has been demonstrated time and time again that Nigerians in the diaspora frequently excel in science.
You know what? I was waiting for that. Nigerians in the diaspora, Mr. President, I don't want to, okay, you've advised us not to drive this thing, but again, I must remind you before I remove that from my lexicon this evening, Mr. President, let it be known that you are the one that started 97% against 5%. It's your words. Nobody forced you to do it. Your words. You're the one that discriminated against women when you said to your wife that his role is in the kitchen and in the other room. Those are your words. So if you want to be born again and if you want to repent, it's up to you. But what I'm trying to say is you cannot be saying that the ones who are going to help you to reinvigorate the system are the Nigerians in the diaspora. Nigerians in the diaspora are from certain section of this country, Mr. President. And the same Nigerians in the diaspora, you have not considered them qualified enough to serve within your government, Mr. President. You cannot... Did you actually... Sorry, I'm not being insultive here, Mr. President. Did you actually read this speech? Did you internalize it? Did it make sense to you? Does that confirm with your pattern of thinking? Because it appears that the speech is 360 degrees from what we understand and the pattern of thinking we know you have. That's what it is. You cannot be beckoning on Nigerians in diaspora, yet you don't address their constituency. The Nigerians in the diaspora have been begging for them to cast their vote electronically since time immemorial. Yet, last year, Mr. President, electoral reform bills was sent to you and you refused to assent to it. Not one place did you, Mr. President, say, I want the diaspora voting right to be included in that bill, Mr. President, you didn't. So how come the same diaspora that out of their own sheer wickedness, out of their own sheer hard work, have been able to make something out of their lives, suddenly you want them to be the pillar of reconciliation for you? What have you done for them? Many of us, honestly, I know when, as a student then, yes, I worked in restaurant, I ate a living, I cleared snow. Sometimes I tell my kids, I say, listen, if daddy, while he was a student in Germany in those years, if he ever exports the number of plates he washed in restaurant, I could be exporting maybe 50 containers, or even, maybe that might be even a starting point. But I'm proud that I did, because I ate a living through sheer hard work. Where was Nigeria in all those years in the wilderness, trying to survive, learning another man's language to write their own exams in that man's language? I went to the Netherlands. When I went to Netherlands to study, I had my people I met. We are still friends today. Them, 80% of, well, what am I saying? There were about 5 of them are from the north. I mean, they probably might be watching me now. They all came with scholarship. We from the south, Mr. President, we had no scholarship. Even at that, at least about 2 of them, we know how we helped them to pass exams, because the moment they failed the second one, if they had failed the last one, that would have been it. They would be sent back to Nigeria. But we knew how we did it. We helped them in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, because we all found ourselves in another man's land. But here, Mr. President, you want to reap where I do not consider you as one who has sown into the diasporan life. You could start today, Mr. President. You could start today. Retrace your steps. What is it that you can do? I can tell you, I've said in my press conference in Oka 2017, I've already said that to you. You can start by making genuine recognition and making restitutions. You can start by making people feel human, that they are all equal. You can start by sacking the service chiefs. You can start by reconstructing the whole security apparatus to reflect the realities of the diversities in Nigeria. You can start by a group that you unjustly, that's what my view is, you unjustly prescribed as a terrorist group. You can start by unprescribing them and call them for dialogue. I do not believe that those who say break Nigeria now, that majority of them actually want Nigeria to be broken. If truth must be said, if we leave emotion aside and look at the realities, the people cry because they do not feel part of anything. Therefore, the barest minimum they could say is that when a man is rejected, can that man reject himself? And they say to themselves, if this nation has rejected us in this way, can we reject ourselves? Then let us go back. But bear in mind, Mr. President, the last word for you, sir. Goats can also bite. When you push and when you pursue a goat to certain angle that he sees no other option, goats can also bite. So, Mr. President, continue.
Technology, medicine, sports, arts, and many other fields. Similarly, the creativity, ingenuity, and resourcefulness of the Nigerian at home has resulted in globally recognized endeavors. I am convinced that if we pursue our aspirations together, we would be able to achieve whatever we desire.
Okay, I'm not laughing at you. You are convinced that if we pursue our objectives together, Mr. Speller will say, recom, Okay, can we explain that? What is our aspiration together? Be part of Nigeria by every means necessary. What is the aspiration together? There are things that must happen. People must feel part of the government. People must feel part. I asked on Twitter today, what is it about being a Nigerian? What is the benefit of being a Nigerian? Honestly, you can say the benefit of being an American is that or the benefit of being a British citizen or a German citizen. I know I have free medical care. If I get trapped anywhere, I know people will come for my rescue. Tomorrow by 2 o'clock, I will be having a conversation with the people in Ghana. Ghana here is trying to evacuate our citizens, businessmen, not illegal immigrants, businessmen in Ghana are planning an evacuation. And the reason why I'll be having that interview tomorrow is to see how the government can intervene, because it breaks my heart. People who have lived in a place for 20 years, 30 years, yet, Mr. President, they are diaspora because they are not in Nigeria. Those are people you are calling. But suddenly you might not be so quick to act because they are not from certain part of the country. If they were from Chad or Mali, maybe you would have reacted. We saw how quickly you went into Mali. But here is Ghana. You never bothered. You cannot show a child who the father is. The child will know. Mr. President, for once, be a father to every Nigerian. Take your rightful place and stop this.
That informed our adopting the theme together to mark this epochal event. Together, we can change our condition for the better, and more importantly, together we can do much more for ourselves and for our country.
Okay, so people, enough local news now. I have dealt with the issue of Biafra and Oduduwa. I think enough to weld on it. I've dealt with the issue of the Nigerian independence celebration. Now, I have two more outstanding issues to deal with. That is that Trump, as you all know, President Trump tested positive. Now, and some people are saying, Mr. Trump, Mr. President, stay positive. You see, some people are very wicked. For this world are wicked. You know, when you are sick, people say stay positive, have the right frame of mind. But now, it could mean two things to tell President Trump to stay positive. It could be never you get a negative result. Never you get a negative result from your... And I have also on Twitter really been so flabbergasted by the way people have been reacting. You know, there is a tweet that actually, I shared this tweet before. There is a tweet that got me thinking. This tweet is, let me find it. Someone actually predicted, or rather said that this is going to happen. Let's read this tweet together, people. Now, this tweet says, let me see if I can, hold on. So this tweet said here, and I have tried to highlight it there. Look at it at the bottom here, highlighted in red. It says, Trump's October surprise will be the announcement of, in quote, his infection. And the guy said, fake, but quite dramatic. The twist will be blow Biden off the scene, off the screen. That is that Trump COVID watch, you know, will be the domination every minute of every day. Then 14 days later, Trump will emerge 100% cured by hydrochloroquine. Now, people think about it. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not insinuating that Trump doesn't have what. Let's not really, you know, let's look beyond what the, you know, the COVID test says about. Could it be a man that has never taken the issue of COVID serious? You see, when he had a conversation or a debate with Biden, he was actually saying that, oh, he was actually mocking Biden for putting on face masks. You think I'm joking? Look at it here. It was.
Recently, you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think masks
efficacy
are okay.
of
You have to
masks?
understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test, and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to, but I
Just
wear
like your
masks
rallies.
when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say this.
Vice President Biden, go ahead, sir. Recently, you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching.
Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump, why people don't have empathy for him, as a leader, is the way he has handled the whole issue. When people were dying, it started from when people consider it that he lied, in terms of when he knew that COVID was around and the actions taken. And he can't imagine a president of his stature was even talking about people testing bleach. Maybe if people drink bleach, it might help them. Or if people do drink, surface cleaners. Now people are saying to him, Mr. President, it's time to test the surface cleaners. They kill 99% coronavirus. Or Mr. President, it's time to do the hand gel. I have one of my hand sanitizer here, Mr. President. Maybe what we're going to do is... So, Mr. President, don't try this at home. So, Mr. President, that's enough alcohol, okay? So maybe you just put your hand sanitizer on and you smell it. I mean, come on, Trump really came up with funny. Sometimes, at some point, I looked at Trump, I said to myself, geez, it sounded like some of the arguments, some of the things he normally said, sounded like what my 4-year-old daughter would be talking about. Because it didn't make sense. It wasn't plausible. How can a president be talking about people either drinking bleach or smelling bleach or one kind of wonky stuff, And again, he was talking about hydrochloroquine. Now, there is hydrochloroquine, so it is your time now to let it cure you. But sadly, over 200,000 Americans died in COVID. Not even in any of the terror attacks, not even in the world wars did America lose 200,000 people. But here, before our own eyes, we have seen that number of people that have died in America and worldwide. England is over 40,000. Now, I think it's about 1 million people worldwide died of COVID? Jeez. But I think Donald Trump is a funny guy, honestly. I don't know. Some people... I was having an argument with a pastor this afternoon. An American pastor, I can't even remember his name, about what he said about Trump. Again, some of you that have asked me, who do I support? Please, it's neither here nor there. Biden is not my utmost candidate. And what's it called? Donald Trump also, I don't know. I think it's a question of 6 and half a dozen. But this guy has been, really be shitting Americans. Honestly, he's really talking a lot of things that sometimes you watch them, you say, whoa, how did America got here? I'll tell you for one thing. Personally, here, I lost it with Trump the moment he didn't declare his tax returns. And I was telling a friend, I said, this crime, because it's a crime, this would never have happened in any European country. I remember when Boris Johnson was running for office in London as mayor of London against Ken Livingstone. And Boris Johnson got into an argument where Ken Livingstone accused Boris Johnson of evading tax, that he had a consultancy firm, or rather what they call in the United Kingdom an umbrella company. And that Boris Johnson then, as a mayor running for re-election, you know what? Before Boris left, that conversation was, I think, was done by Nick Ferrari. I think it was Nick Ferrari, I think, an LBC radio station. Before 12 hours, Boris Johnson made his tax return public in order to bury this rumor. But here we are, a president, the whole election cycle. Sometimes I look at Trump. I see, strong-headedness, and I say, what is wrong? Because the whole time he never ever showed his tax return. He never showed tax return. And if that was to be in any country in Europe, I bet you Trump would never be elected president. But here, Americans, after all, they are the only country that have they wield guns as if they have popcorns and popcorn parties. Good for them. You can see how George Floyd was killed. You can see the things happening in America and what type of stand has he taken. Even in the last debate, he was told to take a stand against Ku Klux Klan. Did he do that? The white supremacists. Did he do that? If he saw his response. I tell you. Again, I say to Trump, I wouldn't say, honestly, my way of my response. Oh, who is this person? Who is this person? John Chimax. John Chimax is calling me names. Then I say thank you very much, John Chimax. Your whatever it is, I wouldn't engage you on that level anyway. It's beneath me. That's by the way. So at the end of the day, I think Donald Trump, for whatever he's doing, I think he lost me with the issue of tax. The moment he didn't show his tax returns, I thought you couldn't be a president because you're not leading by example. Now, if it's true that he has COVID, I would say you have to get over it the way others did or do. So that is my take on that. Then on my final point this evening, you all know about Ojota. When in 2012, or rather it started in 2010, the Save Nigerian group, how they protested, and eventually it moved on to 2012 January, which I partly blame Jonathan. In fact, I blame Jonathan. The Ojota protest was entirely Jonathan's fault, because according to Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, in one of his books, where she said, this book here, where she said fighting corruption is dangerous. And Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said something, I think I marked it, that is very instructive, that she was very, very disturbed the moment on the 22nd, when everyone has agreed that Nigeria was going to remove fuel subsidy in April 2012. But so that everyone has already agreed that they're going to remove fuel subsidy. You remember the famous fuel subsidy town hall meeting that was attended by Emir Lamido Sanusi and Okonjo-Iweala, where they had that conversation of explaining to Nigerians what was going on and how they are going to introduce palliatives, right, in order to cushion the effect. But suddenly, in couple of months, Jonathan, in couple of weeks or rather months, rather than go back and stick with the plan, in as much as, if I were to be Jonathan, I would have stuck with my plan, because if Nigeria could pay for all the while, then I could as well cushion that 3 months. That was January to March. Then go with what everybody has agreed on. That's why you don't see a lot of protests happening now, because Buhari is doing the same thing. Now, according to this book, Jonathan agreed already, that we know. But according to what Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said in this book, was that suddenly on the 1st, she was not in Nigeria, but people started calling her frantically. Oh, why did you people remove fuel subsidy? Why did it da 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 da? Oh, and she was surprised. She tries reaching out to President Jonathan that normally allowed Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala to be on front line, one of those VIP on Jonathan's phone. Jonathan switched his telephone for a couple of days. Question is, who were those that ill-advised Jonathan to pull forth the removal of fuel subsidy? I strongly believe the removal of fuel subsidy in 2012 marked the beginning of Jonathan's downfall that saw him being defeated in that election. I strongly believe that Jonathan never survived the General Ojota 2012. Now, I gave us background. Now, in this video, you will watch what another Northerner is saying regarding the
this country. I think the government is playing the victim, whereas the citizens are the victim in this particular in this case, because nobody is questioning the rationale in increasing the price of fuel, because differently, we cannot continue to have fuel or any product for that matter, at a particular price, beyond a certain number of a certain period of time. But what has happened in Nigeria is that the government failed in addressing the fundamental issues in the sector, that's the oil and gas sector. What have we been doing since, let's take it even from since this government came to power? What have we been doing with the refineries? Why couldn't we have sold those refineries or revamped them in the proper way so that Nigerians will experience, the dividends of democracy, in fact, as far as oil is concerned, because oil, we have the crude oil here. We are not importing crude oil. So why should we be importing refined products 5 years or now 6 years down the line since Mr. President came to power? Mr. President is not new to the oil and gas industry. He was the minister, he was the national commissioner during 1975, as far back as 1975. In fact, he built some of the refineries. So what has happened? Why didn't we repair those refineries so that Nigerians can benefit maximally from this God-given gift that God has given to us?
Okay, now you see the argument put up by this man. Okay, this is his own part of the argument. In the interview yesterday, Tunde Bakare, the one and the convener of Save Nigerian Group, was asked, apparently, that Nigerians are saying, why don't you now come out and vote? And protest. And I found it a little bit insulting and beneath the man of God to think that he would deny that he was ever involved in the protest of subsidy removal. Now, listen to what Tunde Bakare said here. And this is listen very, very attentively here.
I am not an activist. Neither am I a social commentator. Those who are asking me to march again, who is holding their legs? God gave me a revelation on the 23rd of December 2009. and repeated the same thing more or less on 2nd of January 2010. And I called a few men into my house, relayed the vision that I had seen, and told them to bring civil society organization leaders to Sheraton on the 7th of January. We paid for Pili Pili restaurant. They gave us the banquet hall. I relayed the vision and the dreams that I saw to them. And I said, we must not let me just hint it so that people know we are not rabble-rousers. We are not running a hopeless race. I didn't say I'm going to march throughout my life and be marching the streets. I did what I did because God instructed me to do so. And if he has not instructed me, then I become a professional agitator.
He said God instructed him to to protest. Wallah, who are we? You know, when someone sleeps and wakes up and says he had a dream and God told him X, Y, Z, who are we going to ask? You didn't go to bed with the individual, so you don't know if it was God that spoke. But this is what he's telling us, that God asked him to do this. Continue, sir.
In the first dream, I was coming to Nigeria for Christmas. I had a dream. I saw conjoined twins. The left and the right side of the heads were joined together. They both wore baseball cap. On the other side of their hair that was unusually long, and they spoke at the same time. Don't separate us, you separate us, we die. As a pastor, I came back to the church. I said, let's start praying for pregnant women so that they will not have abnormal children. End of story. 2nd January, during a New Year gathering, we were fasting and praying, seeking the face of the Lord. Then I saw 2 young girls. If the young men were teenagers, this would be like age 8 and 10. The younger ones, no, the older ones suffered renal failure. And the younger one said, I will not let my sister die, I will give my kidney. And they rolled both of them into the theater. I could see it just like yesterday. I didn't see them return, but the surgeon came with blood-stained gloves being removed, and he said, the surgery is successful. As I came out of that vision, the Lord said to me, the north and south of Nigeria, don't separate them. If you separate them, both will die. God has a reason for putting this together.
No. Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did you hear what he said? That God told him that if you separate north and south Nigeria, both of them will die. Okay. If you have a Southern Republic and you have a Northern Republic and both of them will die, you see, when governance begins to be, when governance becomes an issue of God says and God did not say, that is how, according to Desmond Tutu, they told us to pray. Let us close your eye, let us pray. By the time we say amen, after the long prayers, we open our eyes. We no longer have the lands. We only have the Bible. There are things we shouldn't be mixing together. The issues of governance are like issues of engineering. You do physics, you understand that there are some measurements that when you do it and you do them accurately, you must constantly get the same result. Yes, if there are arguments that you want to, if there are arguments, sound, reasonable argument that you must project why the south and the north of Nigeria will remain together, of course, by all means, project the argument, put your thesis, put your hypothesis, get your argument straight on. Let us look them on their merits and demerits. But the moment you begin to bring in a supernatural, a super whatever, that, oh, if you do that, they will die, I will tell you again, a lie. Now lie. By the way, before 1914, these twins were already born and they were not living together and they didn't die. So if they move away actually they will flourish. I agree with you. I disagree with you entirely because that doesn't make sense. But hey, we bring Christianity, we bring God into an affair that has nothing to do with him. We bring God into, and that's why you see, Reverend Fathers, now Abi Fathers, or what, they're all the same, whether Reverend Father, Pastor, they're all. Somebody walks up to you, God say you bless me. When did he tell you? If he wanted me to bless you, he would tell me as well. I've said it before. When somebody wakes up from sleep and said, oh, God said you give me 1 million naira, I'll say, don't worry, let me go to bed. When he tells me, I will come and tell you back. Because I'm equally a human being. So if he can speak to you, he can equally speak to me. Now rather than marshal and defend your argument, you're telling us that God told you, and that's the reason. I do not agree.
It was that vision that I narrated at Sheraton that led to Save Nigeria Group. And we marched the streets of Abuja, we marched the streets for Jonathan that I'd never met. I'd never met President Jonathan. It wasn't sponsored by any politician. And God rescued our nation from the hijackers who had hijacked power at that time. A doctrine of necessity came. Eventually, the President Goodluck Jonathan became acting president, and when Oduduwa passed on the 5th of May, that same year, 2010, he became the full president. Disaster was averted. And it was after that President Jonathan invited Save Nigeria Group. Majority of those who marched with me, I met for the first time. It was at Sheraton that I saw Femi Falana for the first time in my life. Professor Wole Soyinka that joined hands with us on that field that day, came to the field that day. I met him for the first time that day that we joined hands together. Majority of those marching the streets in Abuja were Christians from family worship.
Now, you people, everyone watching me now, we are over 250, so pay attention now. He's going to get to the meat of the matter. Here he will deny, Tunde Bakare will deny that he never protested against removal of fuel subsidy. He will deny it. And this night, I have gone to the archives. Because the issue is, I've said it, for many years ago, it appears Nigerians have been sleeping. What we must now do is to use the God-given talents and internet that we have in our hands to begin to expose people. I used to like this man a lot. I must be honest with you. I used to like him. Every Sunday, I used to listen to him because he made sense. But recently, from the time he woke up and said that God told him in 2019, he was, remember, that was January 2018, that God told him he would become the president. I still have the video in his church in Ikeja in Lagos. And suddenly he denied. Again, he came back the next week and said, God said if Buhari is not going to contest. Haba. So if God is able to create the whole universe, it's only to know the mind of Buhari that he cannot equally know. That if God says if Buhari doesn't run, that he will become the... Listen, enough of this, wayo, enough. Honestly, anyone following this channel know I keep away from religious discussions. I preach religious tolerance. That's why if you are a Christian, you go and burn down destroy a shrine, I'm against you because that's not what Christ would do. That's why if you're a traditional practitioner, you should leave the Christians alone. My worldview is anchored on the Igbo philosophy of let the kite perch and let the eagle perch. Ebe belu, ugo belu. Do your own. If you say you want to worship wood, so be it. If you say you want to worship God, so be it. But I ask one question. I'm not digressing, but I ask one question. Because people say, that Christianity brought to us the knowledge of Christ. I say, yes, I agree. That is the only thing. That is the knowledge of Christ. But before Christianity, our forefathers already knew God. Because they already knew the concept of Chi nke Ukwu, which they call Chi Ukwu. Omama masi amasi. The one they refer to onye no n'eluigwe wola anemelebe bopasi okwu. He that seated upon the throne. That means my ancestors, before even the white man came, already knew that there was God. So the concept of his son is the only thing that you brought. So, and you cannot destroy whatever that existed before you just because of Christ. No, that's wrong. Worship whatever, even if you don't believe in anything. I mean, it is your right. But in this time and age, what we have had is men who want to utilize you to enlarge their coast. Remember, many years ago, whenever they say if you mold block, that people in the village will come and put something for you. You won't come on now. My dad is not going to the hockey somewhere. So when you are, the reason why you sharpen a knife is because of lack of energy. That when you have the energy, whether the knife is sharp or not, the cutlass, you can go to the field and do justice to it. And you begin to look at, I was building a house. This person, they did something and I no longer have the finance. This is absolute nonsense and balderdash. Imagine, for instance, and that's an example I give people. Imagine they've drawn your house and they say, okay, this house will cost 35 million to build this duplex in your village. And you know that you have over 200 million. And you put 40 million apart. Don't you think that house will be finished in 3 months, even with change? And don't you think that no matter whatever anybody does, if they bring something, import, and put it, the tiler will tile it, everything, the job will be going. Because those Togolese that work day and night, they don't care. Oh, people, you will get to wake up. I think this religion is really getting us here. But when it comes to politics, I think we need to make that separation. Anyway, let's finish listening to Tunde Bakare. Then I will now come to the point that I will expose him, actually.
Center from Jos, all our network pastors brought their people. The equipment on the field that day was from a church. And now they are saying, oh, you went to Ojota to campaign against subsidy. I did not campaign against subsidy.
Hey, Pastor, what did you just say? Hold on.
Went to Ojota to campaign against subsidy. I did not campaign against subsidy.
Okokombem. If it is Chiwetalagu, we say, Ekwensu romance ama me wata. Ekwensu enwe telephone number. Emmanuel Ago Imaje Nuance. Jesus Christ. Did you hear that? I'll do that again. Okay, what did you say?
You're saying, oh, you went to Ojota to campaign against subsidy. I did not campaign against subsidy. I campaigned against oppression of the poor. Don't kill Nigerians, kill corruption. Because we knew that the subsidy being paid was going into private pockets. Nothing was being subsidized for the benefit of the poor. And the president climbed down after we did the Ojota campaign, and we became friends again. Is there anywhere it is written in the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, or in the Bible, or in the Quran, that whenever there is crisis in Nigeria, it's Bakare alone that must march? My job is not...
Okay, he said he did not campaign against subsidy. And Odera Emma says I should start prophesying. Please, I am not gifted with the... I'm not gifted with the spirit of, or the gift of prophecy. But at least I can make projections based on empirical facts and evidence. Obviously, I can, that I can do. But there are people, you guys are, please stop fighting. I'm reading the comments section and you guys are cracking me up. Please stop fighting. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And some of you that have given me thumbs down. I want to know why you gave me thumbs down. What can I do you now? I'm just trying to give you analysis and you are thumbing it down. Okay, so like the video, share the video, let others know, give the video a like. We have over 250 people watching and only 43 likes. Come on, people, show some love. So now let me bring back where Bakare. Now you be the judge, and that's how I'm going to conclude this evening. You be the judge. Then I will allow people to call in if you want to call, if you want to make any contribution or ask any questions for a couple of minutes. So, and Bakare is saying that he did not protest against subsidy removal in Ojota. Bakare, okay, let me bring
whether they remove the subsidy or not, we will still be in problem.
Did you hear that? Now, this is a man protesting for removal of fuel subsidy that happened. Oh, thank you everyone for giving me some loves, yeah? Giving me some love. Now, look, this is a man who said, who is here. You can hear him. Okay, whether they remove subsidy or what, let's hear you. Talk.
Whether they remove the subsidy or not, we will still be in problem.
The protest he was there, the protest that he attended was about subsidy removal. He was there and spoke about subsidy removal, yet denying that he did not protest against subsidy removal.
Subsidy or not, we will still be in problem. If they remove subsidy, they will share the money. They have already shared it before collecting it. They say over 400 billion will go to Jonathan's government. Over 400 billion will go to government. Over 200 billion will go to local government. They have already spent the money before they earn it. They are just fooling color day to come and supervise an empty collection.
No force on earth can stop this revolution. The fact that I am here today with my children, with all these wonderful Nigerians, send the message to Abuja and wherever they are that the struggles for which we have been planning and working all these years have now taken off.
Governor of the Central Bank, Sanusi, came to Lagos and said, if you don't remove fuel subsidy, Nigeria will collapse. This country is not going to collapse. Those who are going to collapse are those who are cheating the Nigerian people. When my father was fighting, I was 13 years old. I am 50.
Anyway, so the point that I want to make, and the point I believe I've made, is that Tunde Bakare, as you saw in the last video, clearly said that he did not protest because of fuel subsidy. I wonder how you make an omelette without breaking an egg, or rather, without breaking eggs. And here you have a pastor, we have him on camera, we have him on video, telling us that, talking about fuel subsidy, but 8 years down the line, it's 8 years. 8 years down the line, the same pastor is denying that he never protested against fuel subsidy. You see the way sometimes when they do this, they are abracadabra. Oh, I tell you, there is a tree in your house, in front of your house, that is the one that is making you not to progress. They won't tell you exact. They wait for you to say, oh, is it the one on the right-hand side? He said, yes. So, but that is it. That is exactly what is happening here. 8 years down the line. Or did he, for 1 second, think that we are all forgotten? What is the issue? Why would he suddenly tell us that he did not ever protest against fuel subsidy? For the last time, Pastor Tunde Bakare, what did you say?
Whether they remove the subsidy or not, we will still be in problem.
Whether they remove the subsidy or not, that we will be in problem. Yet he said he did not protest against removal of fuel subsidy. The protest, what they call the Ojota 2012, was entirely and was as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy, which I said before in this book here that I've read twice actually, by Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Fighting Corruption is Dangerous. That's where she actually x-rayed the whole point and said she, being the coordinating minister of the economy and the minister of finance, after the roadshow they had in 2011 on the removal of fuel subsidy, never understood why the president then, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, went ahead to remove the fuel subsidy. On that note, I will open the telephone line if anyone has any contribution to make, but please keep it very snappy. You know, you listen to these things and sometimes you ask yourself now. And before I do that, also for those, for those who say they, as I said before, remember when I analyzed Buhari's speech, I forgot to play us a clip. Now, and this is a man who is now telling us why we should all come together, but he's still the same person that when pushed, he said the following.
We have no other country but Nigeria. Anybody who thought he has any other country than Nigeria, goodbye. You can go.
You see? Is this a way a president ought to speak? Anyone who thought there is any other country, anyone who thinks, it's not a way to actually communicate to the people. The people, if people are disenchanted, like I keep saying, if people are disenchanted, you speak to them. You find out, a nation is like a family. You have 6 regions. You have over 200 and something ethnic nationalities. If for any reason whatsoever, certain section of your country feels so disenchanted, of course, it is the duties of the person and those who are in power, those who are in authority, because you have every coercive powers to do and undo. You have the right and you have the powers to say, okay, people, can we sit down, understand what your grievances are? Can we sit down and understand why you are actually protesting? Because for Christ's sake, anyone thinking, they say that in Igbo we say, someone is already pregnant before they started the jiggy jiggy. So, question is, one could say the eastern region have been agitating for a while, but the Yoruba nation have never agitated or are not in the current agitation to break the nation, but in the agitation maybe of restructuring of other forms. One thing one person could have thought about would be, why are the Yorubas suddenly agitating? Now I think I have the first caller here. Yeah, hello. You're live with Mazes, okay, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Israel. I'm calling from Germany.
Okay, Israel, you're calling from Germany, yeah.
Yes, I have been following your program and it has been quite very educative. And I like following you. I thank you for the good job you are doing.
Thank you.
And I see in you one man that has the interest of the Igbo people at heart. Now, listening to your program this night, I stand to be corrected anyway. I don't want to put it to you. But I think from your explanation, you tilt towards restructuring rather than outright separation. I don't know if I'm right.
Hello, I'm listening.
Okay. So, why I try to seek your consent is to know whether, if you are tilting towards restructuring, may I know what level of restructuring you would want? Because from my own end, I have had several versions of suggestions about restructuring. Some say restructure by state autonomy, restructure by regional autonomy, restructure this, restructure that. And to be very honest, up till now, I don't see any kind of consensus in that line. So do you think that if we want to delve into this restructuring, we will really come up with something that will help us? Because the majority of our brothers from the north are of the opinion that we should restructure by state, and yet the states should not have the autonomy of security. They want the security to still remain at the center. That means the federal government should control the police, the army, all the security agencies. And if we want to go into discussion, it will boil down to either going to a national conference or taking it to National Assembly, where they are still the majority. And at the end of the day, any issue that comes to a kind of deadlock will be shifted to voting, and they will vote along that line. And at the end of the day, we will come out thinking that we have restructured, only to find out that the federal government is still in control of police. And whoever is the president will still be responsible for appointing the Inspector General and commissioners of police of the various states. And then you find out that we have come back to square one. Autonomy, as it were. So, from my own end, I am trying to say, the proponents of restructuring put these things into consideration so that we don't shoot ourselves on the foot when we go for a dialogue, and after the dialogue, we come out thinking that we have achieved anything, only to go back to square one.
Okay. Thank you very much for your call, my brother. One thing I would say is we have to bear in mind that every war ends on a negotiating table. Every war ends on a negotiating table. Now, if you are not led by emotions, and if you understand this principle that every war ends on a negotiating table, why go to war? You could have continued negotiation. Does that make sense? Now,
it does, but does it really work in Nigeria?
No. Well, it has worked before because we went to war, right, in 1967. After the war, when the surrender happened, that was the negotiating table, right? You went back. Now, if you listen to Mbazulika Amechi, in one of his BBC interview, he said something that, that many of us were not conscious of. He said that if he was not arrested with some prominent leaders then, we wouldn't have gone to war. It could become an academic exercise if he was right or not, but by the virtue of his age and his stature, and as someone who played an active role then, there are some certain information that I can only, begin to look at twice and begin to see sense in some of the things he said. Now, there is nobody, be it north, south, west, east, nobody, no section of this country benefits from the, useless structure that we have. No section. If the North that sometimes we accuse of benefiting from this state is benefiting from the nonsense that we have today, Zamfara, the president's hometown, if the president does not go to his state with every state armory to protect him, I bet you 2020 Buhari cannot go to his hometown. You have and you hear senators from Bauchi, from Bonu, from Sokoto telling you, from Nasarawa, from what's it called, Castina, telling you they cannot go to their home. You know what I tell people? Do you know what it means? Think for one moment. your own senator, Chris Ngige, Ifeanyi Uba from Anambra, or Abaribe from Abia State, comes to National Assembly, say, I cannot go to my hometown. Now, if Abaribe cannot go to his hometown because of security, what will you, a normal person that has nothing, is the not enjoying from this useless and a convoluted structure? And one of their governors have had at least 3 attempts to kill him in the person of Zulum because he's doing a good job. And I tell you, he's a man that I honestly envy at certain points, saying, guy, you are doing a good job. So the issue is, we need to understand one thing, and that's one thing I believe, without insulting ourselves. We understand the game. They are playing karo with our minds. This is the war of the elite. This is the elites want to keep you busy, to start discussing irrelevancies while they keep talking about it. Now, north, south, east, and west, none of those who enjoys from the crookedness of the current system ever talks about dividing the nation. None. How can somebody who, by sheer knowing a president, gets an oil wealth, stays in his place in Taraba State, enjoys the suffering, the environmental degradation of the environmental destruction of the Niger Delta region, but someone sits in the comfort of his home enjoying those things? How can you ever think of the person will talk about the splitting the nation? Now, let us move away from the elite. If you come down to the normal people, every working Nigeria, use an average Yoruba man, an average Hausa man, an average Igbo man that want to eke a living. You go to the north, you see Igbos there opening their shops, doing their legitimate business, paying their taxes. You have the other set of people coming down to your place to do the jobs that some of us have created vacuums, because one thing that happens in nature is that nature abhors vacuum. The moment you leave your house, you go to Germany, you have created a vacuum, and that vacuum must be filled. It's not emotion, it's nature. If you say there are certain jobs that must be done, but you no longer have the powers, or rather the skills, the manpowers to do them based on the level of skills. You are in Germany. You agree with me that there are some what they call the Antenflugten, like the farms, going to farms to get to go and harvest farm produce. Under COVID, Germany broke the rule of social distancing, ignored their own laws, went to Eastern Europe to bring in workers while Germany is on lockdown to work on German farms so that Germans will not starve. Because in as much as you're locking down, people are eating. Right? So what am I trying to say? The short and long answer to your question is neither here nor there. If we cannot live together, yes, we'll break the nation. However, in breaking the nation, everybody must, not only by emotion. That's why you have people, some people might disagree. You have think tanks and you have intellectuals, people who can think and project and make projections, saying what could be the outcome. And I will refer to any one of us to go to YouTube, go and Google Professor Soludo Biafra. You will hear what Soludo said on the concept of Biafra on the book launch of Ofodile, who was the UPP, no, is it UPP, that's a Chekwas party, UPP Anambra candidate in 2016, I think. No, 2017, I believe. What he said there is, for those who are good and deep thinkers, you understand what he meant. In conclusion, my brother, without taking much of your time, is whether we restructure, you will still need to talk to people. Whether you break away, you must talk to other parts of Nigeria to get what you want. And my final analysis is, we sit down, we demand, of course, that is our right. We demand for referendum. What is referendum? Referendum is a form of vote. For you to vote, you must have a form of identification for you to vote. It could be your PVC. And without PVC, if Nigeria conducts referendum today, you cannot vote. Therefore, you must go and acquire your PVC. You say the system is skewed against you, but it is the same system that will be used in referendum, right? Therefore, question then is, if you want to break away or break the nation, you must use the table. If you want to restructure the nation, you must use the table. In the final analysis, it will now mean, let us begin now to construct the table. I will leave you with this adage. The table that we construct today is the table we were going to use to eat honor. To eat honor, or the abanayam. I hope you understand what I mean. Thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you. You're welcome. So people, there you have it. I think I've already missed some calls, but don't worry. So if you called before, you can call back. Else, I don't want this to get, oh, Jesus, we've already been here for a couple of minutes, but it's, it's the reason why we do this on a Friday is that many of you, especially those of you in the diaspora that work hard from Monday to Friday, when you come on Friday, you want to relax. Now there is no discotheque for those in Germany and the Netherlands. There is no discotheque to go to. And those of you in England and somewhere else, there are no bars to go to. You're stuck in your house. But we can utilize the opportunity to be here and speak and talk to one another. Let me take some of your comments while we... And Alexander M., Alexander M. says, forget Soludo, we have tried unity for 60 years. It hasn't gotten us anywhere. Let's try disunity for a change. Of course, it appears you do not understand the context that I brought what Soludo. Before you entirely disagree with my proposition here, I would kindly advise that you probably go back and listen. I said, just type in Professor Soludo Biafra, and you will see it. I think that was published either 3 or 4 years ago. It was a book launch. It's about 20-something minutes. Listen to that. Let me see if I actually, anyway, I'll let you do that at your own time. So, my brother, Alexander, it's not about saying forget this, unity. No one, not, again, I repeat this, not South, West, and East. No one is happy with the system. Today I was talking with someone and he told me, and he was just arguing because I was making an argument, man, if this is not a work, make myself just break it and everybody go home, waiting. And he said, when you have a family, which what the nation is, and there are disagreements and things doesn't work, what do? Do you just divorce because things don't work, or have you tried to make amends? I said, well, in my own argument, we've tried. We tried in Aburi. We tried in Addis Ababa before the war. We tried in many ways. We've tried with Abacha's constitution amendment. We tried with Goodluck Jonathan 2014 National Confab report. But again, sadly, the 2014 Confab report was not implemented. And that is the reason why it appears the whole thing failed, because I believe if we got to the level of implementation, we wouldn't have been in this mess. Honestly, go back again, Google 2014 report PDF. You will see Premium Times, I think, published it then. Honestly, if you read, sometimes some of us are not reading. I think it's about 848 or 84. I can't remember the last two digits, which one they swapped each other. But it's 800 and something pages. I remember then I read it and personally impressed about the deliberations, but there are some deliberations that I did not agree. For instance, the issue of state the issue of state creation. I never agreed because rather than talk about equalizing some states, we went in, or some of the people who are there went in to agree on additional state creation. And I've thought to myself, that is absurd. But again, that is in negotiation. It's give and take. It's not only your way is that the Southeast needed more states. I think it was the Anioma and Adada, I believe. So in order to equalize the states, you have a region that has 7 states, the Southwest 6, the South 6, and the Southwest 6, and the Southeast 5. I believe in their own wisdom, they thought, okay, if we need to make it, then we give 2 states to the Southeast, making it 7. Then we have Southwest that has 6, we make it 7 in order to equalize it. So, and Southeast couldn't have gone in there saying, oh, yes, you've had only 5, we only have 5, just give us 1. But in negotiation, there is no, it's always, as Ndichie would always say, like dog playing. You fall for me, I fall for you. The greatest threat and the greatest thing that has happened in the last 5 years, I must say, is the menace of herdsmen, the invasion of herdsmen. Now, if we again suppress our emotions and bring in thinking here, there are some school of thoughts that some believe is anchored on conspiracy theories, that one of the things that happen is that there is an agenda to either Fulanize or to northernize the southern region. That's a school of thought on one part. On the other part, there is also a school of thought that think we need to look at climate change. What are the consequences of desertification? What are the consequences of desert encroachment? That areas where you had greeneries are no longer the way it is. Now, there is another school of thought that thinks and that says the system and the operators of this system are so useless that they only think about money and not about what they can do to improve lives. Now, when you blame the Fulanese, the school of thought then argues, even the Fulanese that you blame, that are mostly nomadics, they are that they head cows, that those individuals also run their own risks. For me, I see cow herding as tax evaders. That's, for me, that's a very smart way of moving money. You can basically move money in form of livestock, match them from Mali to here. And now there is another school of thought that says also, oh, in all these things that is happening, it is failure of government to actually begin to construct or force people to use ranching. Not under a southern president did we have, even the one that was a farmer, did we have them come up with proper policies to nip this in the bud? Because if they did, we wouldn't. Because if we criminalize open grazing, but before you do, federal government those states where they are coming from, what are you doing to irrigate the land? Because you can actually irrigate certain expanse of land. For instance, why can't we convert the Sambisa forest to the highest ranch in Africa? It can only be done by people who are clued on, people who genuinely want to bring solution. Sadly, what we have today are people who are still stuck with an archaic and 18th century thinking that someone has to take a cow from Sokoto to Umuahia in order to, I mean, it's bits us silly. Now, the other person somewhere is defending the fact of your inability to actually, your own inability to actually make provisions. Maybe, you can import these feeds and grow the grasses, make the fowls, because all these things, all this conflict, which sometimes government says is a farmer header clash, which personally I have said several times, there is nothing like farmer header clash. It's a fluke. What we have is headers invading farmland because farmers are static. So rather than us to find lasting solutions, everyone is only interested in stealing. And sometimes we hear like the head of state or the president say, oh, people are blocking grazing routes, grazing route, or how it's called it. And whenever I hear that, I say, "Wallahi, this is a cake mentality." Please, there is nothing like grazing route being blocked in this day and age. If you want to move cows, use rail. That's why you're building rails. Use trucks, not by road in people's farm. You cannot, people have their orchards, people have their vegetable farms. You don't allow these cows. And the worst of it is the food basket of the nations, areas like Benue, you see people go in there, uproot these yams, feed them to the cows. And you want anyone that sees that not to have conflict, and you go back and say it's farmer header conflict. The real criminal and the real criminality there is the one who comes into your farm, uproots your crops, feeds your crops to the cow. That is the and that person should be treated as a criminal, because there is no difference between the one who has rustled your cow, because yes, they do also have, there is danger in the trade as well. Living in the bush is not an easy task. Someone comes in, because there are what they call cattle rustlers. They could just come and rustle these cows. Now, the tragedy, and this is a monumental tragedy here, is that the government is not interested in solving the solution. Because if the government is interested in solving the solution, many of us have profiled solutions for so long. Very simple. It can cost you for less than 1,000 naira to chip a single cow. Just put a chip implant. The cow moves. Either you put it on the ear or on the back, or what they call torso, wherever you want, you can chip these cows. These are GPS tracked. Work with the mobile telecoms in Nigeria to provide you that. Anchor your taxation based on this. The moment a cow is killed, the chip, as long as the blood is no longer flowing, the chip is disabled. That means, Mazi, you have 50 cows. I can see the disabled, 5 cows have been disabled from your heads of cows. Please, each cow, you owe us 10%, no, 5% of the cow. If that cow is 100,000, calculate 5% of it, or you can make it a flat fee. Any cow you sell from your heads of cow, you pay us 2,000 naira. That way, government generates revenue. Plow back this revenue into creating a more modern ranch. Because all this conflict that is being created, this conflict is as a result of protein. Protein, only red meat. No one is talking about all the dairies. No one is talking about yogurt. No one is talking about milk. It's only protein. Only one byproduct. You see, the same warped thinking that made our leaders to be exporting crude oil and bringing in refined product is the same thinking that is making those that deal on this product to only think about the red meat. You sell one cow, 200,000, big ones, 180, 150. You're not a smart businessman because before you could sell that cow for 150 or 200, you could, if you're smart and you have it, put the logistics together and you have everything lined up properly, you probably would have made like from one cow, you would have made like 500,000 before you even now sell for meat. But here, you only just sell. So the other byproduct, you're basically not making anything. And yet, people are dying every single day because of the inability of the government to take action. So let me take some comments again. Kenny Barr, Kenny, let me take your contribution. Say, Chris Emmy, the truth at the end of the day is that both parties will still end up at the table. President in Nigeria would want to be responsible for breakup Nigeria. That is the problem. Which president in Nigeria? Okay, that's what I believe you meant. Which president? Honestly, I don't think. Again, let's be fair here. Even if you have an Igbo president today, that person would want to be on record that the nation that was handed over to him. Remember, they swore to an oath to uphold the nation, so they wouldn't want to. So I don't see any difference, even if an Igbo person comes in. The only thing you might see difference in approach, but there are fundamental issues that must be addressed. As the previous scholar mentioned, he talked about state police. Now, these are things I believe either way, whether you want to go for a confederation, whether you want to go back to the 1963 Constitution, whether you want to go back to the 1914 Confab report, however you want to look at it, there are fundamental things that need to be addressed. You look at, take for instance, the presidency, the 2014 Confab report took charge of the issue of presidency when a president dies in power. In that documentation, they said that let's use, sorry, Buhari, but you are the president, so let's assume we wake up tomorrow and Buhari is no more. Now, you see, the way it is configured today, because of the ethnic nature of the composition of the Nigerian society, there must and there will be issues where some people might begin to accuse the Yorubas as knowing the reason what happened to Buhari. Before you know it, tensions could begin to rise. But the 2014 Confab report took clear that if a president dies in office, the vice president takes over until, I can't remember how many days again, either 90 days or whatever, until the party presents another person as president from the same region from where the president came from. For instance, I don't know, I can't remember if it's the same senatorial seat or the same senatorial zone, or the same region. Let's assume Buhari comes from Katsina, and Katsina is northwest. So if anything happens to him, if it were to be 2014 Confab report, that would mean that they will have to go back to northwest and get a president. And probably El-Rufai would have been your president through the back door. Okay, so, but that is it. But now, there are fundamental issues, and one of the fundamental issues is a question of state police. The reason why the Yorubas have Amotekun today is because of lack of state security. Some argue that the governors can use it to abuse or as if they don't today, right? As if the president don't today. But you could have a police commission that oversees all this, today it states. You can say in Anambra, or if a region considers it that, oh, they don't like, and if you look at Southeast, Southeast is a people, a language, and a nation of its own. That is the Igbo nation. They could decide, rather than have state police, say Ebony State Police, no, we'll have a regional police. It is within their rights. So if they have regional police, because you know that a policeman that is from Ebony goes to Enugu, they speak the language, she understands the language, he understands their mentality, he moves to Abia State, it's the same thing. So they can all decide, in order to make it more effective, that we can pool our resources together in order to, make this happen. They can do that. And if they do, that is what people are demanding. Then you have a trusted police system. You would have a local police system, because when a policeman knows, I live in this street, this number 15 is my house, I cannot, when the people are carrying flags, say we no agree or we no go agree, we no go agree, then I'll go and shoot them. Because he knows, while I'm shooting him, somebody who knows my house is watching. He would think twice. Somebody who knows that my daughter is going to this Akbako Ogwe, Okpoko Community Primary School, will know. You would think twice. But the reason why the madness that is happening today keeps happening is because the man who is, hey, stop with here. If I know stop, I will kill him. The man who is telling you to sit up is freaking 600 miles away from where you are. You don't know him. If he shoots you, goes out, you don't know. Have you not heard? The young man that was shot in Emene by a Nigerian army, a Nigerian soldier, shot on the leg, just for fun, taken to the hospital, chained on the hospital bed. Why did you think that happened? Because, as I said at the beginning of this program, no empathy. That was why it happened. And that's why it will continue to happen. Because there is no connection. And as long as you don't have no connection, that's it. So at the end of the day, the bottom line is, either way, if everyone decides, the best thing that will happen is, if everyone decides that enough is enough, let us go our own separate way, then we come to a round table and we'll make that decision. What I will not support and what is not in our best interest is, from historical information, we are always known that when a section of the country begins to agitate to go their own separate way, you will see that conspiracy happening. You will see the conspiracy. But what we now have is a situation where, like what we saw happened yesterday all over Nigeria, that for the first time in the history of Nigeria, the people of the Yoruba nation, the people of the Biafra, all came together. And I think, obviously the president knew that that would happen. That's why he obviously made those statements that he made. Because no person in his right sense will see these pictures that I'm about to show us and will still think that the people don't know what they are doing. Let me see if I can, yeah. No one will see these pictures and will think that the people don't know what they are doing. And again, this is not even in Nigeria. So it's to tell you that, hold on, sorry. Okay, let me bring this. Okay, so when you see such, you know it has never happened. What you have always had is the Southeasterners accusing the Yorubas and the Yorubas accusing the Southeasterners. You have never seen such unity of purpose where a people come together to say enough is enough. Now, with such purpose, with such coming together, now you can see that when they speak, the nation will listen. Because here, let me show us. Here, you will pay attention that this here is not Nigeria, because you can look at the trees. These are the trees that are already going into autumn. And you can look at the road sign, clearly, you look at the floor, it's not Nigeria, right? Now, and this, in Nigeria, this happened across this state, because you can look at here, one of these pictures is, so this one is Nigeria. So while it was happening in diaspora, it was as well happening simultaneously in Nigeria. And you can say that. And that is the only way the people can begin, when they come together as a people, ignoring the elite, knowing that this is a conspiracy of the top echelons of the society that we also refer to as the elite. And once that happens, people will begin to think twice. On that note, I will say thank you very much for joining me this evening. Please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, kindly do. Share the video for others to enjoy the conversation and the discussion this evening, and also subscribe to this channel. And I will say, see you. I will be talking about, on a Zoom call, I will be discussing the evacuation of our brothers and sisters in Ghana who are crying to be evacuated from Ghana. By 4 o'clock, I will be talking about the rail network. And I have some experts that will be discussing that. And we will now look at why certain regions are getting rails and why certain regions are being denied access to rails. Conversations must keep happening. I am one person that obviously so passionate about infrastructural development and I have only one constituency, infrastructural development in my own neck of wood. Thank you for this conversation this evening, and thank you once more. Good night, everyone, and good morning for those of you who are already in their morning time. May God bless us all. Bye. Mazuzuki, signing off.